Welcome, everybody. My name is Johannes Hefter. I'm consultant at Infosim and talking about unified interface measurements today. I have some slides. Don't worry, that there won't be too much of them. Just for an intro and historical why we need them and some technical background, because overall it's a pretty technical topic and you need to understand some basics going forward, and I want to cover those too. So let's jump in with some, I think, familiar view for most of you, a standard SNMP template in StableNet. This is what historically was mostly used for retrieving data. So just here, this is a general host measurement created for nearly every device in StableNet, having some inputs, OIDs and outputs. I cut them out just for retrieving data from devices. Of course, we also had interface measurements on top, specifically for measuring interfaces. So they were based on SNMP2, and basically they have two components making them an interface measurement. For the first part is the template type. So it's classified in the header as an interface. So StableNet recognizes it as an interface measurement when you use this template. And the second one is the input type. You need to have at least one input type with type of interface ID or interface name or interface physical name for referencing the correct interface in the SNMP template for StableNet internally to process it, to map it between measurement data and the interfaces StableNet is discovering for the device. Yeah, so of course, there are other measurement types as well. This is where we were last year as well. We don't only have SNMP measurements, but also external measurements, retrieving data by other means, by collecting them sometimes via REST or via CLI, or pretty much possibilities right here, but also measurements like business process scripts or WMI. And of course, we could also collect interface data using those types of measurements and templates for StableNet. But there were some limitations, and those limitations became more important for us with the current situation where we have more and more element managers we want to get data from, and we want to integrate in StableNet, or telemetry devices, or also some other devices. They may only speak via REST with us. Exactly, and there we recognize that we need a unified approach for relations between measurement data and the interfaces that are related to those measurements, as we have it with SNMP templates already, with this template type and the interface relation in the input. And this is where we are now. We have such an approach in StableNet, and I want to show you really quick how this works in practice. So yeah, there we go. We have, as I already showed to you, and as you already know, interface templates, creating interface measurement. Just for recap, we have this reference to the interface in the GUI2 because of the input. And this is where we have some common interface data. And when we open the analyzer, this is all familiar. We have some bandwidth charts, error charts, and so on. Please mind, this is a demo environment, so there is not too much happening here, as you can see, and also no errors or something like that, because there's nearly no traffic running, but sufficient for a proof of concept. And what unified interface measurements now provide is that you can also, as I already said, use other means of retrieving data and use them as interface measurements as well and link them to the interface. One example is given by The waste stream device we have in our, it's a test device in our demo lab right now. That is the implementation for telemetry in StableNet with waste stream. And this telemetry implementation uses external measurements it basically receives interface data from a telemetry sensor and converts this data to information StableNet can use in an external measurement. And using the right syntax, we can feed this data into external measurements and use them. And this is basically what you see right here. So there is it's a basic external measurement with key devices and the other keys you know as well. And what's new, introduced with unified interface measurements, is that you also have the interface relations for those kind of measurements. As you can see here, you can select the interface. And also, if you look into the template, there are the same changes made to the external templates that were before made to the SNMP templates, enabling them to be interface measurements. So we have the template type interface, and also an input linking in the measurement to the interface. As I said, we don't need to use the interface ID. We can also use other parameters like the interface name, for example, or also physical index that is popular with Huawei devices, for example, I think. And yeah, those are different kinds. StableNet can map any of those, but we need at least one for identifying the interface. Yeah, and this is where we go. We have other interfaces, interface measurements as well, on top of SNMP interface measurements. And what brings the benefit now? So yeah, we understand now how it works technically, but we also want to see the advantages. And as I said, it's pretty technical, but when you look into what comes out of it, it's simply therefore integrating all the functionality regarding interfaces when you use other templates than SNMP. So if you, for example, open the analyzer, the group analyzer, and generate some interface statistics, like here the total traffic, not only the SNMP interface measurement right here is taken into account, but also the external interface measurement. This is one example. Same goes, for example, for weather maps. So as you know, in weather maps, we have some links between devices, and also on mouse over, there is the traffic shown between the devices taken from the interface measurements. And this now also integrates with the external measurement. For example, we have with our telemetry device, and they work here right now too. Same goes, for example, for reporting. So if we generate interface reports, same here. So we have our telemetry device using external measurements and our regular SNMP devices, and they all are in the same report because StableNet processes it internally, like independent of the technology. Same for the trend analysis or for the automatically generated bandwidth charts based on a dynamic statistic. So everything is seamlessly integrated now, independent of the technology. In summary, basically it's not a too flashy feature, I would say, but really important for the general functionality of StableNet when integrating more and more different technologies into the StableNet, affecting all the categories. Like I said already, group analyzer, report, or weather maps are just examples because internally it's just processed the same way, and this brings the best advantage for interface measurements tackling new technologies.